me, when you look at the Packers numbers, Robert Brooks gave his all. And so that's why it's part of this younger generation that just doesn't learn the history of the team. I love my Packer family nation, young and old, but if you got to be with a team, you say you're hardcore, you got to learn the history, because it's not like you're going to a Jacksonville Jaguars team and you only have to learn back to 1995. No,
Dave, I
this is
love
the Packers
Clay
starting in
Matthews.
1919.
That's why
Clay,
I think
Clay
it's
was
funny for
amazing.
me to be on this side of it, because I still to this day have arguments at the restaurant, the family restaurant where I work. I still get in arguments with guys on a daily basis that want to try to bash Clay now that he's gone. And I got to turn around and go, I'm tired of it. The guy's numbers weren't there for what he made. I understand that. Like the sack numbers there. But if you're watching
he made
the
a
game
difference
and you
being
can't,
inside linebacker too.
and that's my other point is he's 33 and he's a year or two away from being completely shot and done. When guys that are pass rushers usually are like quarterbacks, man. They can go till they're 38, 40 years old. Look at Robert Mathis and a
Bruce
lot of these
Smith,
guys, Bruce Smith,
when he
a
played
lot
with
of
the
them
Redskins
go
after the
until they're
Bills,
late
yeah.
and they become situational. And Clay is already way past that because he sacrificed his body
Blake
in
Free's
his
still playing, isn't he?
career playing inside linebacker. I'm just saying, and yet I still don't think they don't need to wait because Clay, he's going to be a Packer Hall of Famer. But look, we got to look at it like this. As much as
to me, getting your number retired is like the ultimate pinnacle because
right,
it means
and
no
he's
one
not
else in
going
that
to get
franchise can wear it.
retired. So what the hell do we need to wait for to give it to him to make fans feel better?
Yeah.
And I understand it probably does hurt Clay's feelings because it probably would irk me a little bit. But he is an adult, and I bet you it doesn't. He's not losing any sleep over it. He made one little comment about it and probably moved on with his day. They got it off his chest.
After. That's what I love about it. He was probably making a fully 100% joke.
I think he understands
the
magnitude of everything. And I think it's awful funny, and I guess what irritates me about this, Dave, and I think it's what got you, is that these same people are people that said they didn't want Jordy anymore, and they cut him, and then they bitched that they cut him when we needed him last year, but they were ready to go. And I was wondering, and they don't want Clay Matthews, and they bitched about him when he was on the team, and all of a sudden they're nostalgic over somebody else wearing his number. It just doesn't. It just screams of Twitter hypocrisy to me.
It seems like all these people who are saying it are the ones that got the participation trophies growing up. Is they want everyone to feel included, to have a grace period to make sure the players feel better. Those players are making millions of dollars. They got great health care through the NFL. I'm pretty sure the last thing they're worried about is a freaking number.
All right, we're going to close this out by saying all the people out there that don't want these numbers to be, you
grow some
have to take your
people.
L. Take your L.
Lose.
No, take your L, eat it, cut it up, and eat it. That's what you're going to do. And throw some fucking whipped cream on an L dessert, people. Eat your L.
We are going to transition to the Colin Cowherd thing. And we're going to listen to this. It's about 4 minutes long. It's going to have a lot to respond to. Dave's listened to it already. Here is Colin Cowherd talking about the Packers draft and going forward.
I'm pretty sure he has a shrine in his closet. He secretly loves Rodgers. He just wants to hate on him.
It's ridiculous. So here we go, folks. Colin Cowherd, and then we'll break this down and talk about it when it's done. Here you go, guys. Colin Cowherd.
So I said this over the course of the last couple weeks, that Green Bay knew 2 years ago they were going to pay Aaron Rodgers a bunch of money. Seattle kind of got caught off guard with Russell Wilson demanding money, and here's the date. But Green Bay knew a couple years ago we got to pay Aaron a ton. And so Green Bay smartly started drafting all sorts of defensive players. Let's get cheap and expensive on the defensive side because we're going to pay our quarterback $35 million. So I thought, and it's just crazy. So last night, they even doubled down on it, and I thought they may go finally offense. Nope, they went Rashawn Gary, Michigan. Good player, injury concern, but good player. And a great safety out of Maryland, Darnell Savage, who's a big hitter. So now think about this. The last 9 top draft picks by the Packers. And that includes last year's first 3 rounds, 2017's first 4 picks, and last night's top 2 picks, all defense, 9 for 9 defense. And in free agency, 3 of their 4 signings were defense. So of their last 13 top acquisitions, 12 are defense. So Aaron Rodgers, we got you a new offensive coach. He's a hipster. And we've loaded up your defense. It's all over for excuses. Okay? Because there's been 2 excuses the last several years. McCarthy's a dope. All right, we got rid of him. And, defense, Aaron always has to save the team. Those days are over. By the way, there's always been a very weird stat connected to Aaron Rodgers despite his talent. How come he has so few fourth-quarter comebacks? Ryan Tannehill has more. Aaron Rodgers only in his career has 14. Isn't that remarkable? Matt Ryan's got 27. Joe Flacco's got 18. Andy Dalton's got 20. Ryan Tannehill's got 15. Aaron Rodgers has 14. What? Well. Last 11 years. That's all he's got. And the excuse has always been, the defense screws him over. They don't have any. That's actually not true. In fact, Green Bay hasn't drafted an offensive player in the first round since 2011. And by the way, Aaron Rodgers is actually the last offensive skill player drafted by Green Bay in the first round. That's always been a fake excuse. That's always been a phony excuse. The truth is, Aaron Rodgers is not a great come-from-behind quarterback. Matt Ryan's got double the come-from-behind wins, and he hasn't always had a great defense. Andy Dalton hasn't always had a great defense. Ryan Tannehill hasn't always had a great defense. But let's stop the excuses for Aaron now. Because the 2 excuses were, the defense just can't. They have completely, absolutely 13 of their last 14 high draft picks or free agents of note, except for Billy Turner, the O-lineman, have been defense. And I like a lot of their picks. But don't tell me anymore they don't have good defensive players. Because nobody misses that much. They've got plenty of good defensive players. And the myth that they've never given Aaron any good defensive players, go look at what they've drafted. They draft defense. His first pick. That's what they do. And so all the excuses now, the McCarthy, done. That we don't have any defense, done. Now, I like what they did. I'm picking them to win their division, but the excuses are now officially over. All in, no subtlety, no nuance. We are just going last 3 drafts, all defensive players at the top. There are 9 top draftees, last 3 draft. All defense. That's incredible.
All right, guys. This is easy to break down now. He was talking about, we're going to get into it right now. First of all, let's touch on the later part here, and we'll come back to the draft part. Okay, we got 21 minutes left, Dave.
Start us off, Jay. Let's go. Start us off.
We're going to talk first about this whole 14 comebacks to qualify like the elite quarterbacks. Rodgers has 14 total comebacks in the last 13 seasons. And he's arguing, that's only half of Matt Ryan's 28. Well, first of all, and he's trying to argue it's not the defense's fault. Aaron Rodgers has more games where he's lost, where he's scored more than 38 or more points than any quarterback in the modern era. Wrap your head around that. So that's basically saying that Aaron Rodgers has, in his offense, in his time playing, has scored and done his job, scored 38 or more points, where in any other team, the win percentage is somewhere in the low 90s when you score 38 or more points. For Aaron Rodgers, his is below 50%. That's ridiculous. Okay, so that's the first thing. Secondly, Dave, he's been ahead by 2 touchdowns or more in a majority of his games at a higher rate than any other quarterback in the modern era. Also.
He's had the wins. That's why he doesn't need to come back. He was already ahead in the games.
His offenses have been so good with him, and he is so prolific The point to that, because here we go, and this wraps into the fastest quarterback, and mind you, he sat for 3 years, and yet he's still the fastest quarterback to 200 touchdowns. He's still the fastest quarterback to the highest completion percentage. He still throws the most touchdowns to the fewest interceptions in NFL history. And this is competing now when you've come off
highest
the bench
passer rating too,
for
career.
3 years, when other people have had 3 years of at least playing, even if their numbers aren't great. Those are numbers they're putting up to get it. They should be getting ahead of where Aaron is. You see what I'm saying? So like, people need to wrap their head around that. Like, all this guy's numbers are still been put up the fastest ever after sitting and getting no numbers for 3 years when other players were playing. That's so. I mean, that to me, that's a ridiculous argument. Anything to say about that, Dave? Before I move on to
the fact that you mentioned a certain part of it, where the drafting of 13 to 14 defensive players when with Rodgers there as quarterback. You got guys like Demarius Randall, Quentin Rollins, Nick Perry, Dayton Jones. There's a list of them, and a lot of them didn't pan out because either one, Don Capers didn't know how to use Randall. He went to Cleveland and he's flourishing. They didn't want to listen to him. Randall got into my skin as a vocal person, but man, he balled last year in Cleveland. I'll give him that. I was one of his biggest haters while he was in Green Bay because as a first round, he should be living up, especially the players we let pass to get Demarius Randall, the players we let pass to get Quentin Rollins as a second rounder. Like, I'm sorry, but to me, that is one of the worst excuses you could have, saying, oh, they drafted all these people in the first round. A lot of them weren't talented enough to even make the roster within the next 2 years or the back. But Rodgers has to cover for the defense. That's what I don't get. How has he had his chances? He hasn't had the defense to do it since 2010.
Let's just break it down quickly, and we're going to go a step further because he only went 3 years back, which would have been 3 years ago. Would have been the Kenny Clark in the first round and Jason Spriggs in the second round, right?
Oh, I went farther than that because Capers was there forever. I'm going to take it a step
further, and I'm going to go 4 years back because that puts us to Demarius Randall and Quentin Rollins when the whole doubling down on defensive players started. So we're going to go through this real quick because he said his exact words were, last 9 top picks, all defensive players. They have plenty of great defensive players. There's no more excuses for Aaron Rodgers because okay, so let's look at it. 2015, 4 years ago, first round, Demarius Randall played out of position for Green Bay as a first round pick, was a bust. He might not be a bust in Cleveland, but he's also not playing corner. Okay,
that was Capers' fault.
Quentin Rollins was one of those athletic basketball freaks. Talent-wise, he matches what they did this year, but his football acumen and IQ was not the same as the load that we got. We made that.
He should have been a fifth or sixth round pick at most.
Yeah, Quentin Rollins was a bust second round. Okay, so that's going 4 years ago. So there's 2 of their top picks right there that of great defensive players that were both busts. Okay, 3 years ago, 2016, we traded out of 3 years ago, we got Kenny Clark in the first round, Jason Spriggs in the second round. Kenny Clark is a stud. He's the only stud defensive player they've drafted in the first 2 rounds in the last 6 damn years. Let's be clear about that. Because we can go back to Nick Perry and Dayton Jones, the 2 years previous to 2015, in 2013 and 2014. They're bust, guys, bust. Period. They didn't even produce close to second and third round picks that came out in those same years. That's ridiculous.
Ted had been at a 4% in the first round when he was there.
Right. Then you get into 2 years ago in 2016. They traded out of the first round. They get Kevin King, Josh Jones, and Martavius Adams. Adams is still yet to live up to a third round pick, even though
he's a solid rotational depth guy in the line.
He is, but he's not a great his words are great defensive players. Montravius Adams at this point in his career is not a great defensive player. He even had Vince damn Beagle on that list. Vince Beagle played 3 games in 2 years, and he was a 4th round pick. He played 3 games in 2 years, and he was a 4th round pick. And you have him on your list as one of their great.
For the Saints,
shut the hell up.
He's a rotational pass rusher for the Saints. He's a 4th string linebacker.
Josh Jones Josh Jones has yet to find his role. He's not been great.
If he doesn't
but
start
he hasn't
this year
been
for the inside linebacker spot, he's out. If he lets Orange